All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to talk about Caleb Williams and should he say no to the Chicago Bears. Now, this is all about really RG3 telling Caleb Williams to say no to the Bears. So I'm going to give my opinion on should Caleb Williams say no to the Bears. So RG3 on his podcast basically was advocating for Caleb Williams to say don't let the Bears draft you. Don't go to the Bears. Now, similar situation, and they talked about this. The Eli Manning situation with the Chargers. You know, his family, they did not want Eli Manning to be drafted by the Chargers, which ended up happening. But then they ended up swapping quarterbacks. Obviously, Phillip Rivers went there. Eli Manning went to the Giants. And that was huge because who knows what would have happened if Eli Manning ended up getting drafted by the Chargers and Rivers ended up going to the Giants. Because, yeah, I mean, you could look at Phillip Rivers' regular season numbers and say, yeah, he was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. But did Phillip Rivers ever win a Super Bowl? Eli Manning's got two. So that was a big deal. And that was one of the best quarterback classes of all time. You had those two, and of course you had Ben Roethlisberger, who won 2 Super Bowls himself and went to 3. Fell a little bit short too. We just talked about in the last segment, Aaron Rodgers, and when he was with his old team, the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, that's what this situation or this hypothetical situation could be if Caleb Williams refuses to go to the Bears, which I don't think that's going to happen. But this is what RG3 said. He said, with everything, now again, I'm looking at an article in the New York Post with his quotes. So with everything that just happened with Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, this is the organization that has my best interest in heart, and they are going to help develop me into the player I want to become? And then the other thing he said was, if I can find it, it's a little bit further down. He said, I thought Ryan Poles, Bears general manager, was having an amazing offseason up until this trade for Justin Fields. You trade Justin Fields to get some players back to help your team out this year. Because Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, their head coach, they are in a lame duck season. They have to win this year or they are going to get fired. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of true, but at least the second part of that. Then he also said, I think this is what he said. But right, this is I think RG. If I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. Oh, this is Caleb Williams. What Caleb Williams said. If I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. If they trade the pick and I get drafted by someone else, I'm just as excited. Speaking about Chicago, they have a talented team, a talented offense and defense. For anyone to be in that situation, I think they'd be excited. So that's what Caleb Williams said. And yeah, I mean, I love what the Bears did in the offseason. You know, you signed DeAndre Swift, you traded for Keenan Allen to go along with the players that you already have in place. I think the Bears is a good situation. It's probably, the best supporting cast that the Bears have had in a long time. I mean, I guess since like Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, Matt Forte. Like, I think so. I think it's better than 2018 with, Allen Robinson as the top receiver, right? I mean, at least for me, I think that. And it's not like that cast really did a lot. They didn't really do much when Cutler was the quarterback. So yeah, I think this is a great situation, at least like the supporting cast wise, to be drafted into. And that was the quote that Caleb Williams said. It would be a great situation to get into. So I don't think Caleb Williams should say no. Now again, I think the jury is still out on Matt Eberflus as a head coach. And you know what? The Bears, they played better towards the end of the season. The defense was playing better. I mean, now Justin Fields is not there anymore. But, again, DJ Moore is coming off of a good season with the Bears. Solid first season with them. Cole Kmet really made big strides. I like the direction of the team. And, again, you added DeAndre Swift, who had a good season with the Eagles. Keenan Allen coming off of his best season with the Chargers. Now, again, Keenan Allen's got some injury concerns. I understand that. But still, I mean, you're getting another solid wide receiver to go along with DJ Moore. And who's to say that the Bears might not add another receiver in this draft because they have 2 top 10 picks. I mean, maybe they go and elect to, move down with that pick or, draft in another area. But I like the situation that, the Bears have kind of built there. Now, again, they play in a very competitive division because the Packers are going to be really good, I think. You still got the Lions. And the Vikings, I mean, they got to figure out the quarterback situation, but I like their roster. Again, we'll see what happens if Justin Jefferson requests a trade to get out of there now that Kirk Cousins isn't there. But still, the Bears, I think, are going to be a better team in 2024. They got to go out there and prove it. I mean, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I kind of understand what RG3 is saying because, I mean, you traded away Justin Fields just to trade him. I mean, they did right by him by trading him to the Steelers. That's a good situation, but they didn't really get back anything significant. But you could also say, well, maybe Justin Fields just isn't as good as you may think he is. And this was probably the best offer that they could get. Again, Justin Fields makes plays with his legs, and, you see the talent, but it's got to, get better as a passer. That's kind of been a problem. So, and again, he says the Bears should have got more players for him. Well, again, who knows what the other offers are? I don't know. And that 6th-round pick could turn into a 4th-round pick depending on, how much he plays. So, yeah, for me, I think Caleb Williams, you're not going to see another Eli Manning situation here. Caleb Williams is going to, if the Bears want to take him, the Bears are going to get him, and that's going to be the quarterback for the Bears next season. So, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, again, am I being optimistic because it's the Bears? Yeah, again, it's just like the Jets. I mean, we're talking about the Jets and the Bears, 2 franchises that are trying to get over that hump. And, yeah, I mean, I think the last time that these 2 teams won playoff games was in the same season, right? I think so, because the Jets, they lost to the Steelers in the championship game. The Bears lost to the Packers in the championship game of that season. I think that's the last time that those teams won playoff games. Because the Bears have made it. They made it in 2018, but they lost to the Eagles. They made it in 2020, but they lost to the Saints. They had a chance to win the NFC North in 2013, but that was when Aaron Rodgers came back from his collarbone injury, and he threw that pass up to Randall Cobb for essentially the game-winning touchdown. It wasn't a buzzer beater, but, it was with, a minute left or less than a minute. They had a chance to make the playoffs there, but they didn't get it. 2014, they didn't make it. 2015, they didn't make it. 2016. 17, then they, transitioned to a new era with Mitchell Trubisky. Although, you had Mike Glennon as well, and that just did not pan out. And then Cutler ended up going to the Dolphins. But, yeah, so I think the last time those 2 teams won playoff games was when the Packers and the Steelers squared off in the Super Bowl. And those 2 teams were in the championship games. So, yeah, it's been a long time for both of those teams. But I understand the, being a little, being skeptical of the Bears. But I mean, I think they've done a solid job this offseason. And again, you saw improvements towards the end of last year, and they just got to figure out a quarterback. Now, again, they drafted Mitchell Trubisky, and that didn't pan out. I mean, again, they made the playoffs in 2018, and he had a solid year, but then kind of regressed after that. And now he's a backup quarterback. So, and Caleb Williams is arguably the most talented quarterback in this draft. Now, again, you could have a lot of talent, but it's also got to translate once you get to the next level. So, and It's not like he's stepping in where you got an offensive-minded head coach. You got really an unproven head coach in Matt Eberflus that you're going to be stepping into. And that could definitely hurt his development. But I think with the talent that that he will have around him, if that's where he ends up going, that definitely helps. So, we'll see. But yeah, I don't think Caleb Williams should say no. I mean, again, it's not like the Bears have a good supporting cast. Again, if he doesn't have a solid supporting cast around him, then yeah, I mean, then you could say, well, maybe he doesn't want to get drafted to the Bears. I don't know. But I don't think he should say no. I think I disagree with RG3 there. But again, that's his opinion. He's just saying that because of how they handled Justin Fields. And again, they probably did fail Justin Fields. Then they finally, get him a number one wide receiver in DJ Moore, and he's only with them for 1 year. And then you trade him. But again, I think you also have to look at the fact that they have the number one overall pick. If they didn't have that, Justin Fields probably doesn't get traded. This is something that they're like, hey, we got the number one overall pick. We're going to take another quarterback because we just don't believe. We just think that there's a better option there as opposed to what we have right now. And again, if they didn't have that luxury, if the Panthers did not finish with this horrible record, then yeah, Fields is probably still there. But we saw this with Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen. Okay, that my fault for stuttering there, but yeah, we saw that with Rosen and Kyler Murray. The Cardinals are like, all right, we have a chance to get Kyler Murray. We're going to draft him. Sorry, Josh. We're going with Kyler. It happens, and that's what happened here. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think Caleb Williams, he's going to get drafted by the Bears, and then we go from there. So, let me know what you guys think about that. Before we go into our next break, just want to remind you guys, once again, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we will discuss teams, and one of them is a team we just talked about. We're going to talk about teams that are poised for some success after free agency. So we will talk about that when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.